There's some people that believe Bible prophecy doesn't exist today.
Folks, we live in a world today where we're all being bombarded by the media. Products, services, and even news are made out to be bigger and more important than they actually are. And so how do we as individuals know how to decide what's important for us in our lives? A few minutes ago you saw this ferocious dragon on the camera. And he was made out to be much bigger and more ferocious than he actually is, as you can see. But it makes my point. Through manipulation and camera tricks, you can make a problem or a situation or even a dragon or a beast much bigger than it actually is in order to influence people in the way that you want them to go. Even with the Bible, folks, you can take Bible prophecies out of context. You can spin the Bible. You can make it appear that you're fulfilling prophecies by your own will.
How do we tell if a real Bible prophecy has occurred?
Iraqi veterans are buying my book, and my greatest satisfaction is to know that I have brought them a real Bible prophecy about Iraq. Ancient Babylon has a biblical connection to the freeing of Iraq today by great eagle wings in the last days. It thrills me to bring something so powerful that silences the critics.
Are you ready to see a real Bible prophecy fulfilled, rather than another speculation?
King Nebuchadnezzar was the great king of Babylon, who walked the earth without a human heart, a monster who took pleasure by inflicting pain as he conquered the earth.
The great Gentile king had a dream where he saw himself planting a tree which grew above the whole earth. The basis of the entire Bible is found on two trees representing good from evil. The devil sought his power by unifying humans to his tree of knowledge in the Garden of Eden. The devil was removed from his tree and given a lowly ground curse, lower than any beast or human. Babel was the devil's new plan to unite the branches of the human family to a man-made tree, becoming a tyranny or a oneness of evil. The fall of the tower becomes another fallen tree and another failure for Satan to gather mankind and exalt evil to heavenly heights.
There is a very important connection between Babel and Babylon. Notice that even the word Babylon is derived from Babel. Few Christians notice that Babylon is Satan's second attempt to exalt another Babel by political means.
I never had any idea what the two trees in the garden really meant.
No one has ever exactly told me what those trees mean, till now.
I've been a Christian my whole life, and this is the first time I've made a connection with the two trees in the garden and two cities, Babylon and Jerusalem.
Nebuchadnezzar built his tree by gathering the human branches of Gentile kingdoms he conquered. Why? To unite the human branches of mankind into one Zion type. Daniel uses clues from the Garden of Eden, paralleling the famous gardens of Babylon. The king's authority is identified as being above the fowls of heaven exactly, like Adam in the garden.
And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of the heaven he hath given into thine hand, and hath made thee ruler over them all.
After mankind had fallen, God exalts a bush, not a tree. Daniel was sent to Babylon to teach this king about Israel's God, who dwelt in a burning bush. The king needed to learn that a true paradise could not be achieved in a fallen world, especially by using man's political system to achieve it. The established biblical symbolism depicting God's power of deliverance is spelled out clearly as both a burning bush and also eagle's wings. Moses was gathering all the branches of Israel into one designated place. The voice which commanded this event came directly from a burning bush. The king's tower, made of gold, became a type of second tower of Babel, once again trying to gather the Gentile and Hebrew branches to a golden tree of spiritual life. Like Moses, the king gathers the tribes into one designated place to worship Babylon's god. He uses political force to make them fall down and worship the image. He seeks a type of oneness or a Zion type in Babylon.
And whoso falleth not down and worshippeth shall the same hour be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace.
But the three Hebrews were willing to die for religious freedoms. They refused the king's order and were sentenced to death in the king's fiery furnace.
When the three Hebrews were cast into the fire, this fire had no power to consume their bodies. A fourth man, like unto the Son of God, appears in the fire suddenly.
And these three men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace.
Hebrew branches appear to burn in the fire, but are not harmed nor consumed. Christ, the root and branch, gathers a burning bush for Gentiles gathered at one designated place in Babylon. He is seen by all those Gentiles gathered that day. It was he who represented the same God in the burning bush, who transforms man's fire into God's fire. So the king's plan to establish a political Zion backfires. Instead, all of these Gentile branches are gathered to he who dwelt in the burning bush. They witness the fire which burns but does not consume. Thus the Lord sent Daniel and these Hebrews to Babylon to lay the foundation for gathering Gentiles to Israel's God in the bush in the latter days.
I remember God was in the burning bush, but I never realized that Shadrach and the other two were in the same fire with God later.
An extremely strange occurrence was recorded in the Bible concerning these three Hebrews before being cast into the fire. All of their clothing was bound in a kind of luggage or suitcase, and this bound clothing was cast into the fire with the three men. What in the world was the king's rationale for throwing these three into the fire, bound with their luggage and all their clothing?
Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace exceeding hot, the flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
The king was given to an evil nature as if he were half human. The evil side of the king was like a cruel lion in nature. Daniel describes the king as like a lion with eagle wings, as if he had two natures conflicting within his heart. The wings also represented his political power swiftly, conquering the nations and forcing them to unite to his Babylon.
Daniel is definitely giving the world clues which connect both Adam and Moses to Daniel's time. We read about God's means of deliverance for Israel in the wilderness, and later Gentiles are also delivered on eagle's wings. "You have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and how I brought you unto myself."
Now, folks, none of these prophecies in the book of Daniel are going to make a lick of sense to you until we properly link them up to the last days.
Daniel the prophet was sending us direct clues that would demonstrate perfect types and shadows for our day. He was speaking to us through prophetic events that he recorded in Babylon. Christians must understand that Daniel states this clearly within his own writings.
But there is a God in heaven that revealeth secrets, and maketh known to the king Nebuchadnezzar what shall be in the latter days. Thy dream and the visions of thy head upon thy bed are these. As for thee, O king, thy thoughts came into thy mind upon thy bed, what should come to pass hereafter, and he that revealeth secrets maketh known to thee.
Daniel states the only reason he came to Babylon was to reveal a message for our day.
Now I am come to make thee understand what shall befall thy people in the latter days, for yet the vision is for many days.
This biblical instruction was so profound that God told Daniel to seal the book until the last days. The book would make no sense until something significant happened in our day. "O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even till the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased."
So every clue that starts in Daniel's time must now be projected forward to our time.